Hey, Nerd Fam, and welcome back to Just Us, the cozy corner of Couple of Nerds, where we share life, love, and a little bit of chaos.
And today's chaos comes with the ocean breeze, sea lions, and a shortcut that turned into a little side quest. That's right, we're talking about our recent trip to Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk.
It was supposed to be a chill getaway, but when you oversleep, get chased by an Amazon truck, and still make time for snacks and nerdy shopping, it becomes a full-blown adventure.
So grab your beach towels, maybe a portable D20 or two, and let's dive into the salty, silly, snack-filled story of two nerds out in the wild.
Let's get into it.
So obviously, if you guys have been following us for a few of this, we try to get out every now and then.
Yeah, it's nice.
At least once a month
Yeah, a
is
little
usually
bit.
the goal that we have here, because honestly, us nerds can be cooped up for a little too long.
Yeah, and let's face it, life can get tedious. The ins and outs of having to go to work, come home, and doing the same thing over and over again can really start to grate on you after a while, even if you're not, actively aware of it at the time. And so getting out, getting away, even if it's just for a couple of hours, can be so cathartic, so helpful.
Yeah, and for us, it's not about the time. It's always about just getting out there and kind of getting a little bit of time for each other and a little bit of quietness, or a little bit of a crowd if we want to get out there. And Santa Cruz is one of those nice things because as they always say in California, you're kind of close to a little bit of everything.
Within a couple hours drive.
Right, and so Santa Cruz is a nice place because it's relaxed, it's a lot more laid back, but it is not necessarily overcrowded like some other kind of places that people go to visit and vacation.
Yeah, like Disneyland. Ooh, that could be a nightmare, especially in the summer months. But up here, sometimes you find some spots that are really nice. And the Santa Cruz Boardwalk can get pretty crowded, but it's usually, if you go on the certain days, it's fairly accessible.
Yeah, we love how it's just really stretched out, and so it's a really nice place to be able to get out, feel like you're in this kind of large, almost like a theme park essentially, but it's free to get into, so it's a little bit of that nice edge because for us, we do like being nerds in the wild, but as such, sometimes we don't quite understand our surroundings, so we don't like to be necessarily overcrowded with a lot of other people.
Yeah, and we can get awkward sometimes, or we can need time for ourselves. So having a parking lot or somewhere quiet to go is really helpful during these situations. So that also helps at the Santa Cruz Boardwalk.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, it really is one of those places where you can kind of find both little quiet nest eggs to hide out, whether you're trying to, make out or something, or just, places to cool down, because obviously, it's a boardwalk. You want to go where the heat takes you, but sometimes it can be a little excessive, but we really look to all these trips because for us, they're always little sources of inspiration, little areas of guidance that kind of guides us not only to future episodes and podcasts, but also some of our storytelling and designs.
Oh yeah, it feeds our creativity so much. Like the green waters around Santa Cruz definitely inspired some of the waters for Extreas. So,
Right. And say what you will, we do love ourselves people watching, and so there's nothing like watching interactions and seeing people out in the wild as well, and kind of using those as examples of what is like crowd behavior for like a dungeon master, right? Like what do big groups look like?
And then you can look at individual behavior too and apply that to some quirky characters as well. So it's always fun to check out what's going on around you,
Right, and so as with most plans, we did our due diligence. And we made sure to go out of our way and plan and pack and be ready the night before.
We had a whole itinerary.
But of course, given my job and the fact that I rarely get time to sleep in, I overslept, and we found ourselves kind of behind the time that we, as always, expected to try to get out.
Yeah.
When you're trying to quickly grab all the things you planned while also not trying to forget anything.
Yeah.
Because we're very big, and if you followed us for a while now, we're very big into our travel supplies.
Be prepared.
Yeah, we like to have a cooler in the car, plus an additional backpack full of everything from first aid kits to food to snacks to everything you can think of.
Anything that might be helpful in that situation. And it really comes in handy, especially when you pack things you think you might not need, right? Like everybody knows with going out, sunscreen is usually necessary, but sometimes you don't pack things like first aid or tissues. Facial tissues are really really important? What if you get a bloody nose during the summer or a runny nose during the winter?
Extra Carmex, Band-Aids, sunscreen.
Yeah.
I don't know how many
All of
times
those are important.
I don't know how many times the sunscreen has saved us in various situations.
Hell, we even carry hand sanitizer in case the sinks are gross or don't work, you know?
Yeah.
You always have to have something handy just in case.
Yeah, and so that's kind of like the way we are. You know, I was never a Boy Scout, but it always feels like it's good to be prepared for, you know, any kind of situation, which is nice. But, you know, for us, it's because we also prep because we don't necessarily travel just the straight highways.
We don't. We love taking the back roads, and there's a very specific reason for that. I was it wasn't a terrible rear end accident a couple years ago, but it definitely left me with like some reticence to be on the highway. I was kind of scared to go back on the freeway just because it wasn't a pleasant experience. I didn't like it, and I didn't want to repeat that again. So, you know, we kind of came up with this plan to take the back roads instead, to take a more scenic route.
Yeah, right. And we kind of always do that because we found that like you really find some very unique places out there when you go the back roads, whether they're like little farmers markets or just honestly like farms. There's a lot of, you know, old country out there where it's on these, you know, back single lane highways. That most people, because of the idea, they take longer or they're less connected to supplies, which, you know, having a pack ready to go means you don't have to worry about stopping every 5 minutes to get more drinks or snacks or whatnot.
Right. Or having to stop at a restaurant to eat lunch. If you're already carrying food and like actual food, like sandwiches or something in your pack, you can easily stop for a quick meal and then get back on the road.
And like we've seen like crazy sights. Like some of these takes you down by like the various reservoirs. Like we've actually over the years have kind of watched as the reservoirs have risen and lowered. Like in the last few years, California's had a great amount of rain, and we actually watched it totally rise because we always use this route. And so we really get to see kind of the the transforming landscape. And I know D&D wife kind of loves when we go during the spring and early summer when it's lush and green, because if you know, around summer, midsummer, mid-fall, it's basically brown everywhere in California, which don't let the tourism ads fool you. It'd be brown here sometimes. But you know, for us, we always look at it like the trip is like the travel is the next part of it, right? Absolutely. It's not oh god, we have a 3-hour drive to get to the boardwalk. It's oh man, we're gonna have conversation, we're gonna have snacks. There's even times where we're in silence. We'll just be pondering out. I'm thinking about the next D&D campaign. You might be thinking next piece of art.
We're just enjoying being for a little bit. It's not about, you know, necessarily doing something all the time. Sometimes it's just nice to enjoy the ride.
And so it's this idea of like, okay, look, we have everything set up, and so we get to just actually enjoy the drive. So it's not the worry. Now, obviously, we also make sure to take care of our car. Our car is in tip-top shape, especially if you're going on the back roads. I recommend you make sure your water fluids, everything's good, because we've had some close calls, but luckily because we are so diligent, we make sure that we keep a safe roadway. But you know, for us, the drive is half the fun, but really it's getting obviously to the boardwalk,
to the destination.
And it's kind of nice because from where we're at, you know, we go through a weird temperature spike. So we'll go from super hot, then we go up the mountain a little bit, and it gets cool again, and then we go back down into the coastline, and then we can just roll down our windows and let that nice breeze. And see, for you, you're originally from more of the coastal area of California.
So it's lovely to get all that sea breeze air, and just kind of to have it back again for a little bit. You know, it's so refreshing. There's just something so invigorating about it. I wouldn't necessarily live at the beach because I don't like the instability of the sand, but I definitely love visiting, and it's so nice to go every now and then.
Yeah, and it's so funny too, because I don't know if this happens to a lot of people. It's always like when you're first going to like somewhere, right? And you're in such a rush, you're so synced into getting there that like sometimes you miss a lot of the kind of attractions. Because I swear, so many times where I've gone a place and then when we're leaving, I start to notice more things than when I first arrived, because I'm just so tuned in on getting there and being there. So that way everything is perfect, everything can start, and we can have some fun, right?
That's something we have to work on, because I get that anxious too. It's like, let's just get there already, and that's, I think, part of the reason why we tend to be so punctual at times, is because we got that like anxiety about showing up late or just not getting there on time. You know, or not being able to get there at all.
But luckily we've got a pretty good system where we park at the very end of the pier, of the boardwalk itself, so that way when we walk up the whole length of the pier, and that way we don't have to be in the very middle and kind of have to choose one way or the other, right?
And this really nice like underpath as well up to the boardwalk, so you can take that little side area as well.
And it was great weather. It was in I think the mid 80s. This was so right before the like our temperature spiked here in the area, and so we really wanted to sneak in at the beginning of the season of the boardwalk.
It was quite windy.
Yeah, it was windy, which definitely made it tolerable because,
so
man,
nice.
You were fine if you were in the shade. You might be a little cold, but, man, if you were in the sun, you were baking.
Oh, yeah. Without that breeze, people would have definitely been in trouble, so it was really welcome and nice.
Yeah, we wandered. We watched a lot of there was a lot of competitive beach volleyball going on.
That was so much fun.
I was kind of explaining to her, like, the court's rules and the championships and the fact that it was on, like, some of the nets where people were actually vying to stay in, which is always kind of interesting, as consummate people watchers. It's always fun to kind of watch people and the different activities people get into, and the other kind of nerdinesses out there, which is always fun.
Yeah, I'd never even heard of a challenge court, which is like if you lose, you have to leave the courts and leave it to the winner, which is really crazy to me. That's awesome.
Super athletic, if you couldn't tell.
No, nerds all the way.
But of course you got to do a little shopping, which you always enjoy.
Oh, so much fun. I found some trinkets for myself and some trinkets for some friends. I found this really cute little turtle keychain with some like movable like flippers. It was awesome. So yeah, that's my little keychain now. And then we ended up finding some really nice trinkets for our friends. I think I found a pirate ship for one of our D&D friends, and I think you found
what did we find?
A mushroom, I think.
Yeah, a little mushroom, ceramic mushroom.
Yeah, for their significant other and our graphic artist Entlink.
Yeah.
So we gave them a little tandem couples gift, which is really nice.
And it was like super crazy because like us walking the pier, like we had been probably like at the end of the season last year. And about a month after we were there, and if you've seen it in the news, a huge chunk of the pier fell actually into the ocean.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is that the part of it that fell was one of the restaurants that D&D wife and I actually had lunch at.
Not that long ago.
Dolphin, I think it was.
Yep.
And it fell into the ocean's water. So it's so crazy that like that could have happened at any moment to us while we were there because it just kind of was a random thing. It could have just been one good, strong push, and that could have been the moment while we were there. So it was definitely crazy to walk up to the end. But as you always put and as you love, nature tends to take back what's theirs, and the sea lions were definitely taking advantage.
Oh yeah, they were having a blast.
Space.
They were all vying for a little space on the bottom rungs of the pier, trying to sunbathe.
You had never really been that close to a sea lion
Not
before.
Ever, besides like in a zoo, but obviously they're behind glass or behind something, right? And you're not really allowed to get very close. But they were right underneath us, and they were all frolicking and splashing in the waves, swimming around, playing pranks on each other, trying to knock each other off the pier so that they could get a spot. So it was just really interesting to see all their behavior. I got a little bit on video, and I've released some of it on Instagram if you want to go check it out at D&D Wife.
All right. I know. And there's so much stuff. We, instead of going to like the little fancy restaurants, we go to the little knick-knack place that sells little bread bowls and fish and chips and stuff. Because it's
hands
more
down the best food on the pier.
Yeah, it's way better than any of the restaurants because they're all gimmicky and just about selling
kind
alcohol, which we're not the biggest drinkers in the world, so it doesn't really pertain to us.
Right, and since we're driving, we kind of don't want to get smashed.
And we always go to the arcade, and we won a Ichigo figure. The last time we went, we probably paid way more than the figures cost, but it's about the journey and the playing of games. So we have a lot of fun with it. I think we played like the Walking Dead crossbow game again.
That was so much
our
fun.
Wrist started to hurt.
Ow! The trigger finger really starts getting hurt after a while. I don't know how people do it.
and we got and we always like to go and try various crazy cuisines. Like this time we got these like stuffed churros.
They were so good.
Little churro bites. They give you little syringes full of what did we get? Like caramel.
There was a
cream.
strawberry and cream.
Yeah, cream and then chocolate. And so I thought they were just going to do it for us. I was like, oh, okay, they're just going to give us the mix. No, they straight up give you a syringe full of stuff, and you're just supposed to fill it up like you want, and just, we destroyed them in the car on the way home.
Oh, yeah. Not real syringes, the big plastic ones
plastic
for the pastries.
But dude, they were so delicious.
So good.
And as always, we have to get our saltwater taffy because that's what we always do every time we go to, Santa Cruz.
It was so good, so delicious. We make them last for a couple of days, but it never seems like enough.
We try. Yeah, it never lasts that long. But that's the whole point. We go out, we have some time together, and we like this idea of like being out in the open, but obviously being, faces in the crowd. No one really knows who we
Blending
are. We're obviously not that famous yet. Soon maybe after all of this, the 100 subscribers have gone to our heads. But the idea being is that we do like that anonymity and that fun that you can have just kind of being with your partner, being out in the open and enjoying a little bit of peace and quiet while surrounded by tons of people and noise.
Absolutely. It's crazy, right? Because there's a fine line between a crowd being too much and a crowd being just enough to feel comfortable getting lost in.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where the Santa Cruz Boardwalk really fills that niche, where it can't really get too crowded because of the space that it's in and the way it's built.
Right. And so and the thing too, we're introverts. We only have so much of a battery, so we also don't tend to stay places a super long time. We tend to get our fill, enjoy our stay, and then we take off.
It's really like 2 to 4, maybe 5 hours if we're really enjoying ourselves.
Yeah, and so for us, it's a lot of this, getting an opportunity just to get out and then going, okay, I've had enough. It's time to go home.
We're tired.
But as always, we never quite have a perfect drive.
Right.
It's kind of we are terrible at getting lost.
There's still the journey
I don't know
home.
if it's our phones or we're just bad at it, but
It's
we're
me.
always
It's me. I'm just
we're always
terrible
sometimes
at
missing
direction.
exits or taking the wrong rights. And so as we're making our way home, we end up making the wrong right onto a prospective freeway, obviously knowing we're on the wrong road.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's okay. We'll flip around. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
We'll be able to get back. Well, as we're going, the other side of the highway is literally
it's so
backed
clear.
for miles. It was backed for at least, to the point, like I told her, the cars were stopped. People were standing in the highway.
Outside their cars.
They're trying to figure out, right? They are completely grid. We end up watching a guy on a Harley going reverse through traffic, trying to get back to the nearest exit to get out. So obviously just flipping around was out of the question. So we had to do the quick rerouting onto the phone, and oh my gosh, did it take us on a U-turn. It was crazy.
It took us on this whole different back road we'd never taken before. We saw brand new scenery we've never seen before. I think we want to take that back road again sometime.
Yeah.
But planned this time.
No,
planned.
Basically, we ended up going on what looked to be an unmaintained dirt road. For a while, we thought it was a private road, but then every now and then we would see cars that were taking opportunity of the golden hour as it was sundown, as people were getting pictures on their fancy cars on the edge of the cliffs. But it was legitimately, and we drive a small car. We drive a 4-door sedan, right?
It's not a four-wheel drive kind of thing.
And so our car barely could fit on the road as it is, right? So we're going down this very tiny, that is kind of very much winding up and down. Luckily it's daytime, but the sun is setting. So I'm getting more and more irritated with trying to go, but it's too windy to even go fast. You have to go slow.
Yeah.
But of course, as we're going and we're kind of making our way, just purely shocked at the craziness that is us going out and further out to this place, to the point where I'm like, okay, we are not going in the right direction. We are going into the foothills. We're going to end up at someone's ranch, and we're going to have to go all the way back down
and apologize and hope we don't get shot.
But what kind of gave us the both horror and happiness beacon is seeing an Amazon truck, a freaking truck, a full-on box truck,
biggest
barreling behind us, making its way behind us. obviously delivering to somebody who lives up in this freaking mountain,
and
right?
he was gassing it through all these windy roads,
Bro,
he knew where he was going.
I mean, the only thing I was thinking was like it was probably like his last delivery. If he
he had to
dropped
get
off, he
home.
was done. So it was like and so it even got to a point where like he's riding my ass. So I ended up just like pulling over, because there's just no reason to let this guy pull. I can't see behind me, and he. I was like, oh, he's just gonna, go. No, he booked it. Like he took off. After about 5 minutes, we no longer could see him.
He was gone.
It wasn't until like I think we finally got down the mountain and like we got
like
out
right
of
at the
there
end.
that we saw that there was like an Amazon distribution warehouse nearby. So it was like, oh, that's where he went.
There he goes. He was going home.
But man, it was crazy because at a certain point, it just feels like you're on like a Mario Kart track. You're on like some kind of scenario in freaking D&D where you're going down this dirt. My biggest worry was like, okay, the moment there is a large truck coming in the other direction, I don't know what's going to happen because the Amazon truck's taking almost the whole road. The only reason he passed us is because we found like a little area that we could kind of merge off of, right? Yeah. And it was crazy. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I can't even describe it because it was bonkers. Just the feeling of going down, it really felt like we were about to have an adventure.
You want to go on it again.
I don't know what it is.
Survivor's
There's this story that I love by Stephen King. It's a short story called Mrs. Nora's Shortcut. And it's all about this lady who drives really fast through the back roads and she ends up in like crazy worlds because of it. And that's kind of what it felt like. Like we were just stepping into some new place that nobody had ever been to before. And it was exhilarating. I kind of want to do it again.
Hey, I mean, maybe not quite as the sun's setting, because I definitely would not want to do that again in the nighttime. That was not what it is. But really, like you're saying, like we talk about it now, and obviously in the moment we were freaked out, but it really just shows how like it really there's a value to like getting out. Like I still remember the whole time too is like the entirety of that adventure. I don't think we ever turned the radio on once.
Not once.
We were talking, we were BSing or white knuckling it, screaming together about how this might be the end. But really, it just shows that like we unplug while we're out and about. Like instead of being on our phones or being on our computers or making videos.
I think we only had directions on the phone. We didn't have anything else.
We just had our friendly telling us half a second too late when to turn right. Yeah, it's great. But really, for us, it just creates that balance, right? Work's tough. We have different schedules, so it's tough to find time to go out together. Plus, it also helps our creative projects with your art, my writing, everything like that.
Yeah, we want to find time to spend with each other, and we want to capitalize on that too. And it also kind of helps that it multitasks as a little bit of a creative push too. So that all kind of just helps make our lives more rich. It gives us a sense of like moving through the world and having like actual progression and not just like doing the same thing over and over again, day in and day out. And it's just fun. It also helps build our bonds as a couple. So I would definitely recommend that, not just for couples too, but like friends. If you have a really good friend, invite them out to go with you. Yeah. And you don't have to go anywhere like special either. Maybe just go on a drive, around in your area somewhere nice, or go out for a hike real close, a walk in the park. It doesn't have to, you don't have to spend money or go out anywhere crazy.
Oh yeah, right. Exactly. And that's the thing too, right? Like just make small adventures, like take a different route home, maybe, maybe go the long way just once and see what's different. Now, I think that's the thing. Everyone's in such a rush, if it's just a spontaneous break. I mean, by going the back routes, found a farmer's market we didn't know was there. And now we're planning on going there more often because now we know it was literally just around the corner, but it's on a road in our town we never really took until we kind of got lost trying to get out of town.
So yeah, it was perfect. Right. And I can't wait to go again.
So it just shows that like just little bits of time, just take a little time to, get off the highway, get off the main road and go travel a little bit.
And that wraps another slice of our nerdy life from pure drama to panicked driving. Santa Cruz definitely gave us a day to remember.
We hope this inspired you to take your own little side quest soon. Just maybe bring a map. Or don't. That could be part of the fun, like us.
Yeah. If you liked hanging out with us, leave a review, hit that follow button, and come share your best random travel stories with us in the Couple of Nerds Discord. We'd love to hear from you.
And don't forget to check out our other shows and live streams. More nerdy chaos is always just around the corner with Couple of Nerds.
Until next time, stay weird, stay wonderful, and stay nerdy.